Hello, everyone, and welcome to Writer Chat. It's 7 p.m. on the 14th of November. I nearly said October then. November. Welcome to Writer Chat. My very special guest tonight is I've been waiting for her to come on. No build-up at all. Is Sarah Jane Bird. Hi, Sarah Jane.
Hello.
There she is, and live, not vlogging this time.
No.
Live on air. She's a bit nervous about this, but it'll be fine, I assure you. Right.
I'm not shy.
No doubt everyone is desperately keen to see the results of the cookie-off.
Yeah.
So, Sarah Jane, if you show yours first.
And I would just like to point out mine are also on a Cath Kidston plate, so it makes them look extra special.
Oh.
Okay.
Hang on. Say something so that you get the picture.
You can't see the chocolate chips, but there are some. See? Proof.
Very good. Do it again, because I was yakking and the camera went to me. So.
See? There are chocolate chips.
Chocolate chips. Good.
Yeah.
Well, mine were a little bit of a disaster. So.
But it's how they taste.
There's a broken one, and there's a funny shaped one. That's how it came out, because it was a caterpillar. But my best one is that, which is sort of almost round.
Almost.
No chocolate chips. Those dark lumps are actually dried fruit.
Is there oats in there?
Yes, oats, of course. Are there any oats in yours?
No.
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 We can talk for about 3/4 of an hour on about oat cookies.
No, mine was from the Hummingbird Bakery cookbook, so it's like really, really sweet and sugary and like gooey cookies rather than healthy ones.
Oh, all right. Oh, these aren't healthy at all. They've got sugar
They're
in
better
them.
than mine.
Right, I'm gonna have a little taste now. Let's all just.
You sound surprised.
I always am. Excuse me, took me on my mouthful. Yeah, I started baking about sometime last year, and
I hope that was last year.
And I am all surprised when things come out, because I sort of expect them to not come out. But so last year I bought a Kenwood mixer, and generally just throw everything in there. But I didn't. I made these by hand today, which is
I'm jealous. I want a Kenwood mixer.
No, it's yeah. Well, I did a Christmas cake last year, and you soak the fruit in, pomegranate juice or something, or something else, some other sort of juice.
Those sort of cakes take a lot of patience, though, don't they?
Oh yeah, there's a lot. And the kitchen tends to get covered in flour and God knows what else. But I made some mini ones, like mini loaves, about this sort of big, like tiny little things. But I made those for Cycle Club for after a race when they came in for refreshments, and it's just packed full of fruit and just what they needed. They were very
Very
nice.
impressed.
Very nice.
That sounded really sarcastic, but it wasn't. I just point that out. I was like, very impressed.
Well, it's all right. I'm quite doing it. It's Friday night, red wine night. So, I suppose we could talk about writing, couldn't we? Should we? No.
I suppose.
That's all they ever do these days, talk about writing. How many words you got?
Oh, actually, I'm not completely sure. I know that I wasn't doing very well for a few days because I kept getting just doing 500 to 1,000 words, and I think I'm at 24,000. I think, which is nowhere near as good as last year, because I found a little screenshot I did last year, and at this time last year I was on 40,000 words. So.
Wow.
Never mind.
Slacker. Even I know what else we can talk about. I'm on. I just crept over 25 this afternoon. I had sort of half a sprint this afternoon, and so I just sort of lurched over 25k. But I've still got this 50k 5 days thing.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I'll try and forget it. I
Why
say
do you do
this.
these things?
I sort of think they're a good idea at one point, and then afterwards I think, oh, I've really got to do this. I've changed my badge thing on Facebook, and everyone says, "Oh, what's all that about?" And I tell them, and then I think, "Oh, I've got to do it now, haven't I?"
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm doing this year, because I think the idea is that you do it in 5 consecutive days, which is a bit bonkers. So I'm splitting mine up, so I'm doing 5 10K days sometime. I'm rapidly running out.
That's a bit easier, isn't it?
It's
not much easier.
No, I think we'll say less difficult, shall we?
Not pretend it's easy.
No, but so it's sort of not really in the rules. So I'm a bit of a 50K 5 days rebel, but who cares?
That's okay.
Well, yeah. So yeah, I was thinking about trying that tomorrow, but starting that tomorrow, but we'll see. We'll see how I feel. So how's your story going? I know you sort of had a bit of a sort of wobble.
If I'm honest, I think I've done it too early. Because
in relation to your other last year's one.
Yeah, because I'm still editing that, and I did the bulk of it during Nano last year. Then between the end of Nano and February, I finished the whole first draft, which was really good. And then after a couple of months, I went back and started editing it. Got about 30% of the way through, and then realised I wanted to change tenses.
Oops.
So I went back again, and I'm still doing that. So it kind of feels a little bit presumptuous to be working on book 2 before anybody's really got a chance to look at book 1. It feels like I'm getting ahead of myself, but I wanted to do Nano and I couldn't get my brain to think about anything else. Do you know what I mean? So it's like if I had to do this story, but if I'm honest, it's probably a little bit too soon for me. And also I haven't planned, and you know how much I like to plan. So.
Oh God, no plan! That's my worst nightmare.
I kind of thought that because this isn't, I'm not saying it's not real, but because I know that I'm too early with it, I thought I'll just sort of like throw it at the wall and see what sticks, and then I can go back and plan it and just see where the story naturally took me, which is fine, but I think taking that approach with the pressure of Nano doesn't really work well with me because I am a planner at heart.
Yeah, I can't. My one failure in this will be my 11th year, so my one failure was when I didn't plan at all, and I just thought, I can bounce it, it's easy. Just, I had the idea, and then it just sort of ran out of steam about a quarter of the way through, and I thought, I'm not going to do that again.
I found that they've just been faffing around a lot, like going from one room to another and then talking about the same thing, like, yeah, we have to go and do blah blah blah, and it's like, yeah, just get on and do it then. But instead they go to like another room, and I think they've had like 4 meals in one day. Just
I think my Nano meme this year is internal dialogue. They're thinking an awful lot about what's going on and should they do this or should they do that, and I think this is really boring. No one's going to want to know this. It's quite. I'm quite sort of happy with how it's going because I've been going blah 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 blah, and at 25K it should be when it's finished somewhere around about 75, 80K. I'm hoping. Normally I get to 50K and it's finished. The story's over, and then I have to try and work out how to make it a more reasonable size or not, or just leave it at that. But yeah, you being presumptuous, having being too soon with the work in progress. It's, speaking to the man with 30-odd works in progress here. Just do something new. It's far more interesting.
Well, that's the thing. I know so many people that have got like other works in progress. Like I know you said how many like things you've got on your computer, and I know Siobhan has like I think she's on like book 4 or something. But just for me, it just makes me feel like I'm doing this too soon. But I know that in reality, I'm probably not, because I could think of something to add in and then go back and add it to book 1. So you've got the foreshadowing. So it's not necessarily a bad move. I think I probably should just at least planned a little bit roughly what needed to happen, because I was really conscious of not having, like with trilogies, often the second book is like the weakest because it's taking you to the third, and I really want to avoid that. I really want to have an actual story within the second book rather than just have it be another plot point. But I finally hit that point last night at about 2 o'clock in the morning, which was really impractical. but I've got it now, and I think I'm going to be okay from this point on.
Yeah, I think with the trilogy, the danger, what you say about this, the second book is a bit like the middle act of a 3-act film, isn't it? That it's always difficult to get enough stuff into the middle act to make it actually interesting and keep the story chugging along. And I'm because most of mine involves a woman and her son trying to get to Scotland. I keep on thinking about the 39 Steps and all the stuff that they're driving, but the 39 Steps is all about being on a train and being chased by police and spies and all sorts of stuff. And mine is they're sort of being chased by other people. I'm trying to stop it sort of dropping into the 39 Steps type thing, and I don't want people to read it and say, oh, it's just like 39 Steps. But that's where she needs to go. She needs to get up there to Hebrides, and so that's she's I think she's back somewhere near the Lake District now, but they're on to her, so she's got to go round. So progress will be a bit slower for her, but progress should still be quite fast for me, I hope. Get those words out.
That's right, carry on.
No, I'm
I was going to say, I don't think it's necessarily been a bad thing, because I think I've developed stuff that may not have happened if I'd have planned. Like, things have happened in terms of character development that I probably wouldn't have done. So I think it's probably been quite freeing in a way to sort of just go with it and see where the characters take me. But I think with the added pressure of doing it in 30 days, you kind of conscious of falling behind. And as you know, I'm a little bit competitive, and I'm kind of competing against myself. And I'm like, this time last year you'd done this amount, and it's like I had to do that video and sort of tell other people to don't worry about it. And after I filmed it, I was like, yeah, take your own advice.
Yeah, that's right. It was good, that video. I've said that. Yeah, I said it a couple of times on these shows that this year there seems to be a lot more sort of understanding and of people who can't do the 50k for various reasons, and it's very easy to get sort of taken along with the nano express train, as it were. And they you get so much you can do it, here's motivation, here's some stuff, you can do it, and sometimes people just can't for whatever reason, and it's it's almost heartbreaking sometimes, because some people get so excited and they really want to do it, and then they feel like they've failed.
What I don't like is that people feel like they've failed simply because they haven't hit the 50,000, because I know I said it in my video, but if any other month somebody had done like 10, 20k, you'd be sat there feeling so proud of yourself, and you'd be like, oh my god, I can't believe I've done 20k of a novel, like, go me. But because you're surrounded with all these people going like, yay, just hit this workout, just did this, you're like, oh, I'm not doing as well as them. And it's like, well, you can't look at it like that, because there's always going to be somebody out there who's got a better workout than you. There's always be someone who's got a lower one as well, so you've just got to focus on what you're doing.
Yeah, and I don't know where I dug it up, but I dug that. I think I calculated from one of the sort of history pages of Nano that it's a recent year, but 14% got to 50k and quotes won, and there's an awful lot of people who don't, and you just think, you're not useless because you don't make the 50k. You're not a failure. You just haven't made the 50k. But as long as you start, and I said to someone on a thread this afternoon, it's less about reaching 50k and more about instilling a regular daily writing regime. Since you had a payoff earlier in the month.
It's true though, isn't it? Like, it's so easy to get caught up in what everybody else is doing, and it's so easy to sort of think that you're not doing well just because you haven't done as well as perhaps, like I said, I didn't do as well as I did last year, or you're not doing as well as the person next to you. But the thing is, you don't know what out of those words you're going to keep either.
Yeah, that's true.
I've rewritten mine in a new tense, which has changed the complete flow of it, but I think it's just like the building blocks, and it's like putting the foundation down, and you're just sort of telling yourself the story. So I think it doesn't really matter that much. Like, nobody's really going to write a first draft and go, self-published, done.
No, I don't think so. And especially if you're not an experienced writer, I read. There's a guy called Dean Wesley Smith who's a prolific, very very prolific writer and self-publisher and traditional publisher, and he writes like fury, and he maintains now that he can produce for no he can produce almost finished drafts at the first attempt. Because he's such an experienced writer, and all he does is a quick run through, check for typos, and out he goes. And I can see that. I mean, I don't know what his writing's like. I've never actually read anything by him, but he's he's making a lot of money, and he's still being traditionally published as well. So his writing must be pretty good.
And it comes with experience, doesn't it? Like, you might have people who are doing it for the first time, or you've got somebody who's doing it, for the 10th year, and you just can't compare the two, because I think last year, when I think back to it, I was definitely very, not naive, but just kind of, I wasn't thinking about all the rules, and in a way that can be more freeing, whereas this year I'm like, oh, that's not going to work, and things like that. So sometimes you have this first year, not like beginner's luck, but you just go for it, and then sort of in following years you sort of think about it and you're like, actually maybe this doesn't work, or but you just can't compare what other people do to what you do, I think, because I think it just really bogs you down.
It does, and I sometimes feel, especially when I'm having a good year, I sometimes feel a bit guilty if I'm sort of racing ahead and there are people who aren't, and I just think, oh, should I be posting this word count? I don't want people to feel like I'm boasting or something, but I
think you have to just put that, though, because you have to be proud of what you've achieved as well.
And I am. So this vlog, how long have you been doing that now?
Well, the actual YouTubing, I started, I think, the first week of July.
Okay. And why did you choose to do that?
A couple of reasons. The first one was just that I kept reading these books and wanting to talk about them, and I had nobody to talk about them with. And I watch a lot of booktube channels. That's what they call it on YouTube. They call it booktube, and I watch a lot of booktube channels, and I always get caught up in the comments with different people. We start talking about things, and sometimes I feel like I had so much to say that it wasn't enough for a comment. I wanted to actually just say it, and I just thought, oh, just give it a go. And I thought, but I hate being on camera. Like, why would you do this? And then I thought, well, the thing is, it's such a nice community that you don't have that sort of fear of, oh my God, I'm on camera. So I thought, I'll just do it and just see what happens. And it just snowballed so quickly, and I met so many nice people. That was a bonus. But the other reason was that I actually thought, well, in the future, hopefully, when I'm fortunate enough to have a book out, it's a really good foundation, like starting point to getting people knowing who I am.
Yeah.
Two reasons, really.
Yeah. No, that's good. I think if you as a writer intend to do anything with your written work and have it published or publish it yourself, in either case you will need to do marketing for it. And
yeah.
I'm hearing tales that even traditional publishers now are, for new writers, are cutting back on their marketing budgets. So and there's a lady I know is fairly close to me who won a national competition and had a book published, and the publisher said, "Way go, go sell it." Yeah, lots of publicity around the competition and stuff like that. But once the book was out, she said there was very little support, which is sort of not surprising, because I read a lot about publishing, but it's probably surprising to a lot of people who think that the key thing they want to do is to be published by a publisher who handles the book cover, handles all the formatting and the proofreading and the editing, and handles all the selling of it, and you just leave it and go and write something else. But it's certainly not like that at all.
I think as well, I think social media now has got to a point where you are expected to have people following you before you've done anything to warrant being followed for. So I think if, say, potentially, I don't know this for a fact, but potentially if I go to an agent and they like my book, obviously they have to like it first and foremost because that is the most important thing. But if they like it and then they see, oh, you know, she's got this YouTube channel and she's got all these connections here, they know that it could potentially be more marketable. It could give me that extra push. And it's not something that you need instead of quality work. Obviously quality work comes first, but I think it's a great addition. It's definitely a great thing to help you, and that's why I've set it up. I mean, if that's all I was doing it for, it'd be very boring because it's going to take me a long time to get to that point. But it's kind of like the end goal in the distance, and at the moment I'm just enjoying it, talking about books and like making friends.
Oh, no, that's good. It's good, and it's good that you don't you build your channel first, and don't worry about selling anything, selling yourself or selling your books or engaging people in your writing necessarily. And I'm a real fan of that you shouldn't, you know, I talked about it a bit recently with people I follow on Twitter who just use Twitter to say buy my book several times a day, and it's just and I think I can't remember who said it to, but now Twitter has a mute feature, and you don't unfollow them, you still follow them, but you never hear from them, which is great.
People do it though. I mean, I've had people inbox me on YouTube or on Instagram or Twitter, and they've literally just said, you'd like my book, with a link, and I just ignore it because they have to give me more than that. Like, you have to engage. You can't just be like, you will like this book. And it's like, well, you don't know that I'm going to like this book. And somebody messaged me once and they were like, oh, hi, I think you might like the book that I've written. Here's a link to it just in case. Obviously, no pressure. And I clicked on it because they've made an effort with me. And actually, it did look like something that I might one day get. So I sort of downloaded a sample. And I think people just get so caught up in, oh, okay, you should use social media to sell and market yourself, that they kind of forget that actually you're marketing yourself, not just your book.
I think that's the key thing, that it's, I think if you were writing / publishing before social media came along, then I think you sort of understood that social media was about you, the author, and people would engage with you and learn about you, and it's a way for your readers to learn about you, and just occasionally you slip a little, you know, my book's on special offer today, just let you know, and but no more than that. But I think people who've come to writing more recently have seen social media and read, you know, the awful books that say how to use social media to sell 1 million books or something, and it's appalling, and I don't know whether it works in America, but certainly over in the UK, it just turns people off immediately.
I think it's like was it like the 1 out of 4 rule or something? That exact number might not be right, but it's, you know, talk about other things, like talk about a little bit about yourself, talk about perhaps something that somebody else has done, then share something that you've done. And it's mixing it up like that. I mean, I quite often on my Twitter, I will share a link to somebody else's booktube because I like it, not because there's any ulterior motive, but I do it, and then somebody does it back for me, and I think it's all about give and take. And if you're just on there going, buy my book, it's not going to work because it's social media for a reason. It's about you personally and what you're doing.
Yeah, no,
not just automatic tweets going out saying buy my book, because nobody's gonna.
No, and we I mean, I was part of a little cartel, little scheme once where self-published authors got together and promoted each other's book.
Yeah.
But it was incessant. It was daily, and it was, hey guys, you know, we need to do something on Facebook, and so everyone would go, blah, you know, all these books, you've got to check these books out, and I thought, this isn't me. I can't do this. I don't want to do this. So I sort of quietly withdrew from that little group.
Yeah.
It's not me at all.
It's kind of why I started the whole book life thing in the first place, because originally there was never going to be a YouTube channel. It was just going to be a book blog, a Facebook, and a Twitter. And the whole reason the Facebook group exists is, most of the time it's just sharing these pictures that have got quotes on, and people share them because they're all to do with writing and books. But that's what gets the people to the page. And then when I've got enough writers that are actually likers of the page, I want to do something called like an author night, where all different authors will come onto the page at a certain time, and it'll be like, right, everyone post a quick sentence synopsis of your book in the comments below, and everyone can network with each other.
Right.
But
Yeah.
that's what I want to be like the end goal, because I think you have to kind of, you can't just share loads of stuff all at once. It's too much. It's a bit of an overload. Whereas if I kind of like dedicate an evening to it, people will hopefully respond better.
No, that sounds like a great idea. I followed somebody earlier in the year who was doing a thunderclap, which, for those who don't know, is
I don't know.
oh, it's synchronized tweeting. So you sign up for this service, and it's free, and you say, yes, I'm going to partake in the thunderclap, and whoever's organising it puts a limit, say 1,000 or something, and gets people to sign up. And when it comes to that 1,000, as long as you get that minimum 1,000, or whatever it is, at the certain time that you say, Thunderclap will then send tweets out from all the people that were signed up to it.
Oh, okay.
Which at first, sounds a really good idea, but when you realise that most of the people who sign up for these things all follow each other anyway, and there's no the people. Your contacts are the ones that you say, can you sign up for Thunderclap? So it's like this sort of circle of acquaintances on the internet that all send this tweet at the same time. So you say, oh, there goes the tweet, and bang, you get hit with hundreds of other ones about the same thing, exactly the same time. So I sort of sounds like a good idea, but actually it doesn't really work in practice.
I think it takes away the personal touch as well.
Yeah. And I think, I think if you come into writing to make money, and that's your goal, then it ain't going to work. And I think people have tried that and become disappointed, and say, and you read it on Kindle boards that sales are disappointing for my single book. How can I sell more? And so many times people say, write another book. Oh, I'm going to write another book. Yeah, that's what's been proven to work. To have a whole sort of backlist of work. So that if people like this, then that you write, then they should like that, and so on. But just having one book and trying to promote the hell out of it just ain't going to work. That doesn't work at all.
People say the same thing about YouTube as well, because quite a lot of people get into YouTube to make money. Or like what I was saying about doing it for the end goal. If I was just doing it for that, it just wouldn't work, because it would be so obvious in what I was doing. And it's kind of the same principle, isn't it? If you're kind of getting into writing just to make money, it's going to be really, really obvious, I think.
Yeah. I think so. I think you can tell, especially, as I say, I don't know. I know in America they like a bit more razzmatazz. I think we're I know it's a stereotype and a cliche, but I think we are a little bit more laid back, and we are more wary of people who try and razzmatazz us and say, this is what you should do to make good sales, and you just think that's not really.
I don't think there's any how-to guide. I don't think there's any right way, because I could say to somebody, oh, you should do a YouTube channel, you should do what I do, but if you're the kind of person who hates being on camera, then you shouldn't do that, because it's not going to work. Every person is different, and every sort of work is different, and I think you've just got to do what suits you, what you've got time for, what you've got the commitment for, and things like that. And I think it's kind of a 50-50 thing, because obviously first and foremost your product has to be great, because at the end of the day, it's writing, but it's a product, isn't it? And then the second thing is how you sell it, but how you sell it is going to depend on who you are as a person. Do you know? I don't mean to sound weird,
no, it's absolutely.
It isn't going to work for everyone.
I think one of I just know from self-publishing really that one of the beauties of self-publishing is that you're on your own timetable, and you don't. If you want to publish 20 books a year, you can do. There's no one going to stop you. Whereas traditional publishing, it's usually one a year, because they put so much effort, into advertising and printing the damn things. And so what generally happens with trad publishing is when your book is finished, when it comes out, you're expected to spend time marketing, going to sign-ins and going to festivals and stuff. And So I think it's very difficult to write. But if you're on the annual timetable, then it's not so bad. You can, while they're preparing your one book, you can be writing the follow-up book. But if you want to go on a more accelerated timetable, then you can't afford to spend a lot of time marketing in my eyes, because every minute you spend marketing is a minute you're not spending writing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I don't know what way I'll go yet. We'll see.
yeah. Well, I think you're doing the right thing. I think you're as they say, building your audience. Although it's not really building your audience, you're doing something, and people are liking what you're doing, and you haven't got a product for them to buy yet. So so that there's no quid pro quo. There's no sort of, they know they can subscribe to your channel, and they're not going to get bombarded with adverts or
there's no ulterior motive, and I think the response has been really, really great. Like when I started, I kind of thought it's probably going to take 6 months for anybody to notice me like if this is community and you're sort of trying to get into this community, and I thought, it's probably going to take like 6 months before anybody even talks to me or something. And a little group of like people who just started the same month I did, we just kind of found each other because we all had like under 100 subscribers, and we're still talking now. We have like this conversation that goes on like 24 hours a day, and every day and again we just drop in and chat, and then we drop out again. And I've made real friends that way, and it's not ultimately I'd like to use it to sort of sell a product one day in the future, but not just that, to connect with people that like it. I like the idea of being able to talk to people that say like, I really liked your book or something like that. I like to be involved with it, but at the moment it's just purely for fun, and I think if it wasn't for fun it would really show. Especially with me, because I can't pretend.
No, I know what you mean. It's very different, and because I've got contacts with Literary Festival, and so we have lots of authors coming to that each year, and it's quite. I forgot what I was going to say. What the relevance of that was? They really like connecting with their readers. And sometimes I've spoken to them and said, you spent all day travelling up here from wherever, and then you've got to travel back tonight, and blah blah blah, and they sell, I don't know, 20 books, 25 books or something. I said, is it really worth it? And they say, yeah, it's great, because I love meeting my readers, and I love talking to them and finding out what it is about the books that they like, and which part they enjoyed and which characters they enjoyed, and sometimes when we ask questions about why did this person do that, or what was their motivation or something like that, and I think it really works, but I don't think I want to do that, because it just takes so much time. I'm just lazy. I think that's the problem.
I kind of have a similar thing with the jewellery that I make. While it's different, when I go to the stalls, people sort of come up to me and they're like, I bought something off you 2 years ago and I still wear it now. I bought it for my aunt who lives in America or something. And they stop being sales and they start being people. And it's so nice because you're knowing why they like what they've bought. I would do it, but obviously, like when it came to the time for a book, but I think you have to factor in what ones are worth it and what ones aren't, I think, as well.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, and how much time do you spend with people, and how much time do you? Because I think a lot of authors promote their books to other authors, because that's easy, because there's so many author communities around on the internet, and it's easy to say, here's my book, please buy it. But that's not where the big sales are. The big sales are with readers, not authors, and so you have to find a way of getting outside that circle of authors to get to real readers who are really interested in what authors are doing. They just want to buy books. And I know people have, and there's also a lot of advertising. There's a lot of money in self-publishing, and there's places that will advertise your book, but you have to pay for that. And if you factor in how much profit, how much royalty you get per book, and how many books you have to sell in order to get your money back, it then becomes quite a sort of difficult calculation, I think.
Mm.
And to me, I don't think there's any better way of marketing other than by sort of, reaching out to people and saying, if you're interested, blah blah blah, and they already know you. They know that you're not going to bombard them with stuff. They know you haven't just appeared from nowhere and trying to befriend you or something. And they think, oh yeah, I know him from so and so. I'll give his book a try.
But I suppose when you've got the people that are going to these events and they might only sell 25 books, those 25 people are going to talk about that meeting that person, because they'll be like, oh, they were really interesting, and they'll talk about the talk that they had with you. Because again, I'm putting it back to jewelry, but I've done some affairs where I've sold like hardly anything and I've come away feeling quite deflated, and then I've had an email from somebody saying, I met you today and I've decided I'd like to get something commissioned, and then from that they tell somebody else. And I think word of mouth is still the most important thing, whether it's online or in person. And I think these events, while you may not get a massive footfall in the beginning, is what that could potentially lead to as well. So it could end up being more than those 25 people.
Yeah, definitely, and you don't know, and you have to do these things. You have to do the events. You have to talk to people. And yeah, sometimes you won't sell anything, but you don't know who they're talking to and who they're going to recommend. And they might meet someone who said, "Oh yeah, I like this sort of book." I was talking to somebody the other day who was really nice and chatted to me, and you might like their book, and so it goes on.
It's always more work in the beginning as well, isn't it? Like with anything, like with the YouTube, in the beginning, getting like the first few subscribers took months. Like I think in a month I got something like 50, and I remember being like, yay, 50, and sort of then in the next month that was 100, and then the next month that was 150, and I think from July to November to have what I've got now is a nice number, but it happened really quickly. But the more that you get, the more it reaches out to people. So I think people just need to like not be disheartened when they don't get a big reaction the first time, because the first bit is always going to be the hardest, because if one person tells another and then it's going to spread, but you have to kind of push through the first bit, and it's going to be hard no matter what you're doing, whether it's books, whether it's anything. The first bit, the first sort of push is going to be the hardest.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I think a lot of people, especially if they just have the one book and they've written it to make some money, do get discouraged because they sell one book in a week and then 2 books in a month, and it's not going, they're not going to make their million by the end of the year, and they get discouraged. But I think for proper writers, I think you have to treat it as a long game. You have to, you're not going to be rich by this time next year, but you have to, as you say, keep plugging away. You have to keep writing. You have to improve your craft. You have to improve the product. And
like a business.
That's exactly what it is. It's and there, I know there are a lot of people who have given up other work to become full-time writers through self-publishing, and but they do treat their writing like a business, and they produce absolutely the best quality they can. Darren Wearmouth said this the other night that he employs professional editors, professional cover designers, and his product is indistinguishable from a traditionally published novel. In fact, it's probably better. But he's also being trad published as well, and that came from self-publishing and then got picked up by a trad publisher, and so there's always lots of crossover between the two worlds, and there's no right or wrong way, and I think whatever way you go go the way that you want to, and try it out, and there's nothing to be lost by trying to get a trad publishing deal. It's certainly worth a go, I would say.
I think that's probably where if I'm, although I don't know enough about either at the moment, I think in my head that's kind of where I want to go, because I've done quite a lot of things off my own back, and I'd quite like to have the validation from somebody else. I could probably sort of do things on social media and stuff, and I'd enjoy that aspect, but just because if I did go traditional publishing, that doesn't mean I can't then do that anyway. And I would quite like to have the outside validation, you know, because after doing so many things off my own back, it would be quite nice to have somebody go, yeah, actually, we really believe in this.
Yeah, that's it's validation. I normally call it kudos, but I think validation is actually a better word. And yeah, because it's very competitive to get into traditional publishing, and if you do get a book deal, then you've risen to the top 0.5% of writers or something, and that must be a great feeling to know that your writing is sufficiently good to attract that attention. And
it's a confidence booster, and I think for me personally, just on a purely personal level, because I've come from a place where I went to uni, got my degree, which was a writing-based degree, then I became unwell, then I wasn't able to work, then I've done this YouTube. If I can kind of go full circle and get somebody to say, actually, we really believe in this, that shows me that I've still got there. And yeah, if I end up self-publishing, I'll still feel great about it, but for me personally, getting to that point, it will be like saying it didn't beat me, and just on a personal level, that's really important.
That's fantastic. Yeah,
that's to beat me.
Oh, that's quite right. It's quite right. It's yeah, and I know from people who are going through trad publishing now. There's, you know, it's not easy, and you do have to rise above the rest of the slush pile. But you can. But the people who are being trad published now are very good writers. They, you know, they, apart from the tosh top 20 of, I mean, you know, cookery books and God knows what else. It's but they have to.
Part skill and it's part skill and part potluck.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, you got those. I mean, you know, J.K. Rowling took a while before she picked up her deal, and that was almost by chance. And you know, there's so many stories of really good writers who got passed over so many times for publishing.
One of my favourite. Sorry, carry on.
No,
so one of my favourite authors, she posted a story on her own Facebook the other day, and she said that she actually was in somebody's slush pile, and then that person left. I think it was like a publisher or an agent, I can't really remember, but they left and their office was empty, and somebody in the next office went into this old office to get some paper clips. That's all she wanted was paper clips, and opened the drawer, and she put her work on top and accidentally picked up one extra, so she took it home, and because she had like 11 instead of 10, she didn't know which one wasn't hers, so she read them all, and the one that was the extra one was this author's, and now she's a best-selling author.
No.
And that was just like, she said, you know, literally, she went, I got lucky, she said, because of paper clips.
Fantastic.
And that's just one of my most favourite stories now.
It's a good story, and it just shows, you know, you have to have a good product, you have to write well, you have to have a good story, but it is pot luck and hitting the right agent or the right publisher at the right time.
Oh yeah,
right
so many
product.
people go for the wrong agent, don't they? And they say, oh, we don't take this, and they think, well, oh, they might take mine because mine's really good, and it's like, it's got no bearing on whether it's good or not. If they don't take it, they don't take it. You see it all the time, don't you?
Yeah. I've judged writing competitions, and you say, you know, double spaced courier 12 point, that's what, you know, and these 1 inch margins or something, and people, you know, I had it was the first chapter competition, and I had the first chapter with blue ink, and you just think, what? And you know, and I had this discussion with somebody, and you know, I said it was blue ink, so I just threw it to one side, but it might have been good. I said,
but it's a disregard for the rules, and that's what I don't like. It's almost like saying, well, my story is so good that it doesn't matter that I don't follow the rules, and instantly that annoys me. So I'd just be like, no.
Yeah. I had the same thing. Somebody wasn't writing very well, and they were actually dyslexic, and I said, well, you know, you can't sort of submit that because it reads really badly. I said, oh, but I'm dyslexic. And I said, well, you know, they're going to think you're just a bad writer. So, oh no, they'll see through that, and they'll, you know, that's why they employ editors. And I think,
they'll see through that. That's the thing I hate the most, is when people say that, and it's like saying that what you've produced is good enough that you don't have to work as hard. And I think, to be honest, people are just going to find that a big insult more than anything. You know, I want people to look through and see the hidden layers of my story, but first and foremost, I've still got to have a catchy first chapter. I've still got to have a good hook in the first paragraph, regardless of how good the story is when you hit 50%. I don't want people to have to push through. You want it to
because
be...
they won't, and even in these days, in bookshops, people would pick up, look at the cover, look at the back, look at the first bit of writing, and although it's all, a lot of it's online now, but I still, if somebody recommends a book or suggests I buy a book, the first thing I do is on Amazon I look inside, and I don't even bother downloading the sample, because that's a pain. You end up with something on your Kindle that you don't want. But you just look inside, and within 100 words, whether you want it or not.
All of my favourite books I loved within the first page, and I knew they were going to be my favourites.
Very good. Yeah, you can if you read a lot, you can just tell, and you can tell the stuff that you're just going to reject. See, we've talked for 50 minutes, and
I know my battery's looking at me like, so Jane, you haven't plugged your charger in.
All right. All right. Okie dokie. Well, we'll call it a day there. So people can get in contact with you, or what's the best place for them to pick up on your stuff?
The best place to find me is just to head to the website, because the website will have the link for everything else, and that's just www.thebooklife.co.uk.
Thebooklife.co.uk. And all the links are just spread out from there.
Yeah, there's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, the lot.
You name it, it's all on there. Okay, I'll certainly put that in the show notes. There's more time I shan't be writing, but never mind. It's my decision to do this thing. It's
a good idea. I think this has been great.
I think I'm enjoying it, and I think because I'm more relaxed now. I think the guests are more relaxed now, and I think it's it started off being quite sort of short, and I thought, well, this is quite good, short. But I think sometimes it is a chat. It's a two-way thing. It's not me interviewing someone. It's just a I prompt somebody, and then we chat about it. But, so I quite like it.
You'll be vlogging next.
Oh, I haven't published it. That's why I was talking to you the other day about iMovie, and because I've been doing sometimes when I walk with the dog, I've been doing the old selfie thing with the video. So I've been talking to my phone. So I've got about a dozen or more.
It's just editing, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got to find the time to do it.
Once you've done it a few times, it does get easier, because you start to know, like, you know your own habits and things like that, and sort of, like with the audio, it goes like this, so I can see if I've sort of not said anything for the first 5 seconds, I can just cut that out straight away, whereas in the beginning I was like, where am I starting talking, or where am I stopping talking? That's usually the problem. But it's fun.
Yeah, I enjoy it, and it's just, and that is just a sort of 4 or 5 minutes or something, saying what I'm doing and what I'm working on and what I'm not working on and stuff like that. So I'll struggle on with iMovie. I'll find an hour or two and try and get it.
You can do it.
I can do it. Punch on through. Yeah. Right. Thank you very much, Sarah Jane. Really appreciate you coming on.
It's really fun. And now I'm going to eat these cookies because they've been staring at me.
I know. After that first bite, I thought I can't eat anymore because I'm going to be chomping away.
Well, it's fine when I'm normally filming because I can cut those bits out, whereas I'm not actually going to do it live because that's just not going to be good.
Quite true. Right. See you around, or wherever we see you around. And
as long as you don't leave us for Suffolk again.
Not as if.
You're going to go look for that vlog now, aren't you?
As if I do that. But I'm going to try and get certainly at the end of the month I'm going to have an end of the month thing. So try and get as many people on and try and break the internet.
That'd be so fun.
Break Hangouts. So I'll get. I think that's scheduled for, because the last day is Monday, isn't it? 30th is a Monday. So I'm going to sort that out.
No party.
No party, yeah, hangout party. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
That'll be a bit mad. It'll be a poor old hangout be flying all over the place. Never mind. I'll just say hello and then I'll just go off.
And then go and eat some biscuits. Come back.
Let everyone yak away. Right, that's it. I'm going off air.
Okay.
Thank you once again, and we'll see you soon.